In Age of Empires, if you type lumberjack, you instantly get 10,000 wood for your buildings and units, instead of your villager toiling away chop after chop after chop. And you can actually use the same principle to build your 3D models. You're still building your own models, but instead of making every single detail from the scratch, you're lumberjacking the building blocks to make truly unique and high quality assets. And I'm also going to share a secret tool that lets you add instant cloth simulations to those models as well. So instead of lumberjack, we type CG Trader, who are very kindly sponsoring this video. And this gives you access to a host of amazing 3D models. If I type jet engine, it shows up quite a bit of collection. And this first one is particularly interesting because it's got 14 jet engines where we can select anything from. Very good details. I would take them. Add it. Now I want a platform for these jet engines and I'm tilting towards a steampunk design. Quite a few interesting models. I'm tilting towards this one. Particularly because of these rusty textures, and also on top of it there's a place where we can put the sail on. So that's good. Add it. Now I want a character, and the good ones are particularly hard to find. I quite like post-apocalyptic vibe, so let's get that. Ooh, that is an interesting collection. Look at this. That is a very nice character there. I really like this one. There's a set of characters here as well. Let's try this. Among these two characters I really like. I just want to have a little closer look to see how the textures are. That is really good. And add it. In Blender, I've imported all of these jet engines to see which ones I do want to use in the concept. What I'm thinking is that it should be a detailed model, but also looks good from the back. I think this one's particularly good. Look at these, look at all of these detail. Very nicely modeled, very good attention to detail. So probably most likely going to use this one, and it does look good from the back side as well. So I'm just going to copy and paste this model into a new blend file and prepare this to mount on to the sail. I'm going to join all these parts with Ctrl J into one single model for easy management. I'm going to scale it down and set the origin to geometry. And this way it scales uniformly from the center. I'm now going to import the base of the sail. So I'm just going to drag and drop the GLB file. And as it turns out, it's a massive, massive ship. It's probably modeled for some space travels of sorts. Look how tiny the human is. Well, we can just scale it down to near the human size and just place right next to him. Now I'm going to start building this thing. But still look at the size, it's still quite a bit big, so I'm just going to shrink it down a little. I want it to be rideable like a surfer board of sorts, not a big vehicle. I think these will have to go, because I'm thinking of placing the jet engines over this area, and they're just blocking the exhaust. Here's a trick. I'm going to select the model, and I'm going to put it into edit mode, A to select all of it, and P then select by loose parts. What it does is it separates the entire model by its constituents. So you can just click, select, and delete stuff. To make it so that it catches everything, we can put it to X-ray mode with all text and select delete. And we can just get rid of these pesky little things. And we can apply the same method to delete the other three modules as well. Okay, maybe we can try a bunch of places where we can place this rocket. Let's size this down a little. And what about placing it just underneath the platform? think it looks a little bit imbalanced. Don't think it goes that well in this position. Or maybe I can place it to the side, just like this. We'll need 2 rocket engines though. I can bring this up a little. The trouble with this position is that there is no room for intake and no room for exhaust. Let's take this for example. This backside is just too big. We need to make this smaller. It doesn't matter where we place the jet engines, it is going to obstruct one way or the other. So we just need to select every single part fit, and then we'll need to join it. We can do it in the X-ray mode, so we're able to select everything, and that is Alt X again. And once we've made sure that we've selected everything, we can Control J to combine all of it. And then I'm just gonna scale it down in the X-axis. So it's a little bit shorter and it doesn't obstruct the outflow of the jet engines. In these designs, generally, you don't have to make them fully functional, but you just have to make them functionally plausible so that they just seem like they can function. And this is a great example of it. The problem is that although we've placed our engines now, but it functionally tells us that the inflow is just obstructed with these cylinder-like things. I think the solution would be to get rid of these altogether, and maybe we can place these fuel cylinders elsewhere. So part by part, we'll need to rip it apart so that we can make breathing room for our engines. Now I need a way to connect the structure of the sail with the body of the jet engines. These rods could be extended and connected to the body of the jet engine, and maybe from here to here we can make some metal bars. So I'm going to have this pipe bit in the edit mode and put it into X-ray mode just so we can select everything, and I'm going to select the lower vertices, and then from the front just going to extend it so that it just touches the body of the engine. Granted, it's an odd place to connect, but it's passable. Now we need to do the same thing to the front and back and to the other side. So I'm going to delete all of these extra pipes because I've got an efficient way I can use to connect the pipe that we previously made to the other sides. We're going to mirror it. I'm doing it with the Hard Ops add-on. To give some extra sturdy connection, just going to make a cube and place them so they connect both the bodies. And again, I'm just going to mirror them on each side and top and bottom. Now the middle portion of this looks quite a bit hollow. I'm going to make a sphere and I'm going to give it 32 rings and shade smooth. And I'm going to put it to edit mode. Turn it to its side, X90, and I'm going to switch to X-ray mode and select half of it. I'm going to just drag it across so that it's a sort of a pill or cylinder in a way. And I can place it in the bottom here. And then to fill this bit, I can duplicate it and put it over the top like so. And similar thing, I can just extend the bounds of this cylinder back and the front, like so. Now every sail needs a cloth, or rather instant cloth, or a cascade. It's an add-on that I made for instant cloth simulations. It's a large library of over 100 simulations, from capes to flags to parachutes to curtains to generally every common sim that's used in 3D. And if we carefully see, there is a yacht sail over there as well. So I'm just going to click it, So that selects the sim, and now I'm going to move the 3D cursor to where I want to deploy the sim. So maybe right around in the center here. If I click deploy, it spawns right there. And if I hit play, it's playing. It's just there. No need to simulate anything, and it's light as a feather. Because at the back end, it's based off of baked Alembics, so you're essentially browsing that simulated data set, and you can run multiple instances and multiple simulations at the same time. How powerful is that? So I'm just going to leverage this luxury and look for a different kind of sail, maybe a feathered flag here, and deploy the sim. Light as a feather. Pun intended, of course. And it can be scaled and transformed in any axis as usual. Now we've got the sail, but we need a support structure for it around the edges, and an extension of it kind of serving as a handlebar for holding. So how I would approach this is I would select this simulation, I would duplicate it with Ctrl D, and then just right click to leave it be. I'm going to isolate it with / key. Edit mode, and I'll go to modifiers first and delete that mesh sequence cache modifier. This makes it into a static mesh. So with the corner vertex selected, if I press Ctrl and left click, that selects the shortest path between the two vertices, which is what we need to select the outer perimeter. Now I can press Ctrl I to invert, X, and delete the vertices. We've got this vertex line, so to say, but this is exactly what we need now. Look at this. This is the duplicate that we made, which is reduced to just a line. Now if you go to add modifier and select skin modifier, that will give it a bit of a thickness. But this is a bit weird. It's not uniform. But if we Ctrl A and apply the scale, that looks fine. It's because previously we changed the scale along the y-axis. Ctrl A in edit mode and moving the cursor changes the thickness of it. Now I'm going to make the handle, and it should be about the waist height of our character. So I'm going to select this vertex here, E to extrude, and extrude it along the x-axis. I think right around here should be okay. Now I'm going to press E again to extrude it along the y-axis to make it into a handle of sorts. And I'm going to throw a bevel in because these edges are way too sharp. Just a tiny bit bevel would do. Okay, the front of this model now still looks pretty much like a ship. I mean, look at these antennas or galactic cannons. They still show remnants of a ship rather than a surfer board. So, we need to get rid of this problematic geometry. And it reveals the cylinder head that we placed previously. Center vertex in with proportion editing, and I can place a sphere here to make sort of a head. Pretty smooth, I would say. I tried this thing. And now for the character. It comes rigged, which is really good, but I'm going to use a different way to rig it even better, and it's all automated. I can Alt P and separate the rig from the mesh and then just delete it. Now we've got an unrigged character that we can put on the sail and pose. The pose that I want is that the character is sitting down with hands holding these bars. And to do this, I'm going to export it as OBJ to then import it to Mixamo. Well, hang on there. I'm going to show you a very powerful method to custom pose your characters. I'm going to use Mixamo to create the rig again. And once it's nicely rigged, it looks all fine, I'm going to find a sitting pose that's closer to generally how we want the character to be. Sort of like this one. So it just provides us some working base to work with. We can work with that. So I'm just going to download this. And now I can just drop it, which imports back in Blender. At first it might look like nothing's happened, but if you zoom a bit closer, this cheeky thing is an Ant-Man. It's essentially 100 times less. So S100, that makes it normal size. Just going to line this closer a little bit. And I want it to sit down a bit more and then have the hands grab the metal bar. I also want this face to be facing towards the front so he knows where he's going. So here comes another secret tool to achieve all of this. Mixamo Rig 5. This is just such a lifesaver. So good, and it works super great with Mixamo rigs. I will link it down in the description. So after you install it, you can select your rig, create control rig, apply animation, and OK. And it makes this super flexible automated IK and FK rig that you can just control flawlessly. So there's torso bone, for example. If we select it and move it around, it solves the other bone's positions accordingly. Same with this hand bone. Dooby-dooby-dooby-doo. How about playing sitting football like this? Probably not a good idea, but can do. So I'm going to use all these controls to position our character now. Enjoy. And done. Righty now. There's one critical detail missing here. These stripes of the back. These should also be flailing in the wind, shouldn't they? So we're going to use Cascade again. So I can click on the thumbnail to browse every sim, or I can try this search bar and try strip, for example. And that gives us quite a few collection of these strips. And we can also filter them based on the wind speed. So if I click high, it only filters the white ones, which are high wind speed. So shift left click where we want the simulation to be and deploy simulation. Now it's a bit big, so I'm going to resize it by scaling down the empty, and maybe we can rotate it a little and reposition. Same for this one here. Just going to move the 3D cursor and deploy a smaller version of the same high speed strip. Resize and reposition. That does the job. We can do the same thing with the other one as well. All done. Everything's running quite stable and in harmony. And just so all of these sims stick to the model, I'm going to parent all of these empties to the model itself. And if I move the model now, you can see that everything moves all together when we move the parent bone. There's one last thing though. I need to remove these previous strips. So hover and L to select this, select the other strip as well, X, and delete the vertices. And this now leaves us just with the sims that we put on there. And this is almost the final thing. If you're feeling slightly more ambitious, you can grab a hood sim. And maybe you can replace the character's hood if you want. That could be interesting. And with some texturing, this would be your model. Really happy with this. I've provided links to all the assets, including Cascade, in the description. And if you use the code HAMZA10, this would give you 10% off on all the assets across the board on CD Trader. And if you want to bring these models into real life using visual effects, you might want to watch this video right here. Thank you so much for sticking around. I'll see you in the next one. Farewell.